Right, it's time for a quick update on the Cassegrain mmWave subreflector antenna for 122 GHz. I'm using an Edmund Optics 18-inch spun aluminium parabolic reflector, but as those dishes have an FD ratio of 0.25, they're far too deep to illuminate effectively. A good solution is to fit a hyperbolic subreflector so its rear focus is coincident with the prime focus of the parabola. Rays from infinity then converge from the parabola towards its focus, but meet the hyperbolic subreflector and reflected back towards the front focus of the hyperbola. By choosing the correct hyperbolic parameters, I can arrange for the front focus to be level with the face of the parabola. By making a support ring that fixes to the rear of the parabola, I can then attach the transceiver and feed horn so the phase centre of the horn is coincident with the front focus. The feed horn then sees a giant virtual horn rather a long way away, which is very easy to illuminate. I need to ensure the support for the reflector is stiff and can be adjusted extremely finely for angle and position, so the axis of the subreflector and dish are coaxial and the foci of the dish and subreflector coincide as closely as possible. It's going to be fiddly. I'm using carbon fibre for the support rods and making the clevises and plates from brass. The hyperbolic subreflectors turned from aluminium using a profile copier made from a lathe, and the support spiders made from Delrin. The spiders threaded internally with a fine M12 by 0.5mm pitch thread, so the focus position of the subreflector can be adjusted very delicately. The spider has a slit down one side with an M4 lock screw, so the subreflector can be locked in place once it's been adjusted. I'm using 3 brass plates to connect the spider to the clevises which support the ends of the carbon fibre support rods. The clevises are each fixed with 2 rivets and have a 3mm diameter socket on the end, which is a very tight push fit onto the carbon rods. The clevises are made from 1/4-inch brass rod turned to 6mm diameter with a 5mm spigot drilled for the carbon fibre rods. I made the slot for the brass plates with a 1/16 of an inch slitting saw on the mill, with the workpiece held in an ER40 collet fixture in the mill vise. I'll probably do a short video on the details of how those parts were made, as after the fun and games I had with drilling those flipping holes so close to an ER40 collet face, I'm not doing it that way ever again. I turned the subreflector using my spiffy but old school template copier. I calculated the parameters of the hyperbolic curve using W1GHZ's Cassegrain design spreadsheet, then generated the cutting coordinates using a definitely not old school MATLAB script. Sharp-eyed listeners may notice that this is one of the test prototypes which mysteriously lacks the important M12 fine pitch thread on the rear spigot.
Neil definitely didn't forget to cut the thread before machining away the grip stock and leaving himself no way to chuck the thing up for threading. He's such an idiot.
Oi, stop interrupting. The surface profile of the subreflector needs to be accurate to about a 20th of a wavelength, which is around 0.12 of a millimetre, so it's not exactly high precision work. I designed the feed horn core with OpenEMS and drew up the physical model in Fusion 360, just like, well, everything these days. I machined it from tellurium copper and the thread's M8 by 0.5. This one's a simple conical horn with a 2mm diameter waveguide. The spigot at the back end is 3.98mm to fit into the 4mm socket in the coupler body. This model has a hex lock nut. Sometimes I do them with a knurled nut instead. Once the body's in place in the coupler, the offset's adjusted to maximise the signal. The phase centre will be close to the orifice of the horn, so that needs to be positioned at the second focus of the hyperbola. Next job's the spider, making that from Delrin rod, so I'm expecting huge ribbony chips flying everywhere.